If you're a young player in today's footballing world, do you think that you need a lot of help from an agent, or do you think you don't need an agent until later stages in the career?
I actually don't agree with where the rules are at the moment. In the first team, you're buying closer to ready-made, and the youth market, you're buying potential. I think that's actually changing over time, and that's a problem for me. Ronnie boy, we're back again. How are we?
I'm good, mate. You?
Not too bad, not too bad. I think we've had a little discussion behind the scenes to figure out what we're going to talk about. I think we're going to talk about choosing wisely in the market, I feel. So, yeah,
Perfect.
let's go and give it a go, mate.
Sounds good to me, mate. So I'm going to kick it off straight away.
Okay.
First question I'm going to ask you is, as an agent, do you choose to prioritise certain markets?
Yes, definitely. I think you've got to be really smart on the time that you spend on certain things. Obviously, first and foremost, you've got to spend your time on your clients, so you're making sure that they become number one. But in terms of the markets that we choose to work in, I think sometimes that takes care of itself based on situations. So, as an example, I've diverted more towards the youth market of late, and why? Because Brexit, which I know we're going to talk about, has been one of the factors within that. I've been doing this job for 16 years, and I would say through the process of where I started to where I am now is actually 100% different. When I first started, I was kind of traveling the UK, meeting lots of heads of recruitments, directors, obviously people within the first team market, traveling around Europe, getting an understanding of that work. Obviously having my father around then was very, very key for me to understand that side of it. Role reversed 10 years. It was then Brexit that happened and then made us have a real focus on the youth market. So for me, I've chosen really wisely based on where our kind of niche is, and we've done some really, really good business within the youth market. So at this moment in time, I'm very much focusing on that market, and then obviously we have first team players out there that are already doing a great job, and we focus on them too. So I would say that at this moment in time, along with a little bit of Europe, they're our focus.
Why is it that you're seeing such a lot of movement in the UK youth market?
Again, so Brexit's had a massive factor in why. So if you look at the pool of players that were available pre-Brexit to the pool of players that are available after Brexit, it's actually quite astounding. I'm sure we can actually get the figures of what they look like, but it's absolutely insane to how the youth market has absolutely exploded since Brexit. So before, where you could go and sign a player from Italy, Spain, France, Germany, you now can't. So what's happened is the scouting systems naturally are now having a real focus on Cat 3, Cat 2, Cat 1 football. Whereas let's say 5 years ago, would you have seen a Category 1 move to a Category 1 move? Not very often. Yes, you did, but now it's part of the norm. And why has that happened? Purely down to Brexit. So I think it's had a massive impact on the industry itself, of which again goes back to why we have a real focus on that, is we're homing in on what's an amazing time in the market. I do not think there is a better time for an English young player to be involved in the game.
If you're a young player in today's footballing world, do you think that you need a lot of help from an agent, or do you think you don't need an agent until later stages in the career?
I think that's actually changing over time. In my opinion, even more so now than ever, you need to lean on advice. I actually don't agree with where the rules are at the moment, because where it is at the moment, you can only have representation in the January of their under 16 year, and that's a problem for me. Two reasons. One, obviously, when a player gets released, they're not actually able to have an agent, and when a player is considering maybe a move or anything like that, they're not allowed representation. So for me, that is actually only benefiting club side, and it's only benefiting the people that are away from the players themselves. So for me, I think it's extremely important to kind of lean on advice and actually lean on people that have done the business. So for me, that process from signing for a football club, leaving, or going through the process of what is a transfer is really rewarding if you get it right, but can be a very scary period for a young family and a young player. So for me, I think it's extremely important to lean on the right people, and maybe we can talk about that in further detail. But for me, that process is extremely hard.
So now, if you roles reverse it and now look at the parent side of things, as a parent, it obviously must be reassuring to have the right advice from a representative, no?
Yeah, I really feel that. I think obviously transparency, loyalty, trust is got to be the biggest part played for when a family decide to go and get representation. I think where we are in the market because of what's happened in terms of Brexit, you're seeing a huge influx of people in the industry, which is going to cause a lot of difficult periods for the families because they're getting inundated by agents, they're not sure in what way to turn, and they don't know what good is. So how do we help? And this is one of the reasons, obviously, for doing the videos. I think it's always good to get an understanding of what that market looks like and when you're deciding to have that agent and who you're looking to trust. I mean, for me, why us? I think that, in terms of moving players from Cat 3 to Cat 1, Cat 2 to Cat 1, Cat 1 to Cat 1, and we are one of the market leaders within that. So for us, straight away, that gives us credibility. But away from that is actually really understanding what the families want. Some families want to focus on education. Some families want to focus on something completely different. It might be pathway, it might be finance, it might be something, completely different. It might be about the player, it might be about the family. Obviously, lots of families have different situations, and for us, we come into that situation and we try and explain to them that it's your decision, not ours. All an agent can do is come and provide you with options, which I've explained before, but actually going into that and understanding what that process is from either signing your professional contract or deciding whether you should stay or move from a football club is extremely important. And then obviously when football clubs come into it, they put their own pressures onto the families, whether that's signing a scholarship, professional contract, whatever that might be. Of course, the club want what they want. And I think a good agent decides what the player wants and makes sure that 100% of the time, all the information is correct. And that's what a good agent provides.
Is the youth market different to the first team market? If so, why?
First and foremost, yes. In the first team, you're buying closer to ready-made. And the youth market, you're buying potential, right? So there's a huge difference between the two, obviously. When you come into a first team, it's a lot more serious, obviously. So it's a bigger decision in terms of signing a long-term contract. And when it comes to youth, it's not actually seen as big. For me, where I've seen the market go and where the levels of the money is, etc., it's actually just important to make the right decisions. Then I would say years ago, you would have the old school mentality, which is, oh, just sign that and everything's going to be okay. But that just signing now is a massive decision for a family. So the difference between the two is big, but it's not as big as it used to be because of what's happened in the market and where it's going and what it's doing to the families, because those decisions are dramatic now. If you're signing for a certain type of Premier League club, whether that be top six or middle of the Premier League, bottom of Premier League, or deciding to stay at your parent club because you've got a pathway, obviously the levels of what that looks like financially, as well as what's provided educational wise, living, etc., is massive. So those decisions have actually become a lot more interesting, actually. But going back to it, the obvious difference is within first team football, there's a lot more pressure for results, whereas within the youth market, you're buying potential.
Perfect. That wraps up all my questions anyway, Jace.
Nice.
You answered them very well.
Thank you. No
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, so thank you for watching another video with Max Sports Management International. I hope you're finding this interesting. If there's any questions that you guys would like to ask me, I think me and Ronnie had the conversation. It'd be good to actually put that out there to have a discussion on what might be interesting for the viewers behind it, or whether it's families, players, whatever it might be. But yeah, thanks again for watching another video, and see you again soon.
Perfect.